All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to In the Lab podcast. I am here with Ryan Obnesser. I'm not going to give too much information on him because I'm going to let him introduce himself and all the amazing things that he has going on. But I wanted to bring on a high performer in every aspect of life for you guys. So Ryan, go ahead and give everyone an introduction of yourself, what you do, what you're all about, sir.
Kendall, thanks so much for having me on. My name is Ryan Obnesser. Easier just to call me Ryan or Ryan OB because my last name is kind of a mouthful. And I own a gym in New York State, so upstate New York, way away from the city, that we've owned for almost 10 years now. Been in the fitness game for a little over a decade. And then about 5 years ago, got into business coaching. And that's how I know Kendall. Has been working with him on the Performance Lab and everything that they've built down in the Caymans, which is amazing to see that growth over the last 3 years together. And that's where we hear the Micro Gym Mafia is the coaching program that I have for gym owners. That's a little bit about me. I don't want to talk too much about my stuff. I want to be able to help you guys with your mission. So, Kendall, where do you want to start today?
Thank you for being on again. You provide so much value, and that's one of the major reasons I wanted to have you on today, because I wanted people to get the opportunity to learn from you in so many different aspects of your life, because you have so much value to provide. And that's what it's all about, being a high performer in life, in your business, in your fitness, in your mindset. But first, I want to start with some fitness. And I know you have a super interesting story I wanted to dive into. And that question is, tell me what got you into fitness.
So what got me into fitness is a little interesting for sure, because it actually goes back to me being a little child. And one of the things that when people ask me, hey, interesting fact about you, I did not go to my first day of school until I was 15 years old. And the reason why I didn't do that was because every single year I was so riddled with anxiety. I was so self-conscious that every morning on the first day of school, and this honestly happens even to this day, a lot of times for the first time I do anything, I still get overwhelming anxiety. I don't really know why. It's just kind of ingrained in me, I guess. And it was something I struggled with a lot as a kid. So I didn't go to anything. Like I would hate going to football practice. I hate going to lacrosse practice or any sport, even though I love the sport. Like going the first time, I was so riddled with anxiety. So for me, like school was a big one. And I think I was 8th grade was when I was 14 years old. And I missed the first 2 weeks. Like that's how nervous and how scared I was, that I was actually out for the first 2 weeks of school. And I remember when I first went into school after 2 weeks in, the people in my class, my friends, or even the girls sitting around me like, oh, like that's who you are. Oh, this is Ryan, because they've never met me before. Yeah. So for me, fitness began actually that same year, but Christmas. So Christmas of that year, my father got my family a family gym membership to our local workout gym. For me to start getting into fitness. I was a little chubby at the time. Like I wasn't super overweight, but I was a little heavier. I liked my sweets. And like I said, I was so self-conscious of myself that I really didn't do much. And when I got into fitness and I started to work out, I noticed that as I changed this stuff here, meaning my body, the major change actually occurred here. And really that was what got me hooked, was that I saw that, hey, I could go and put in the work. Like I could make a change to this. For so long I felt like, oh, this is the way I am. I'm stuck like this. Nobody likes me type of mindset, because that's how I felt with all that anxiety. My primary question is like, what are they going to think of me? Like it's something I've always thought of as a kid, what I've always been worried about, what others think, So for me getting into fitness, it showed that I could change this. I could change what others thought. I could change what I think. And it really gave me the power to take back control of who I was and who I wanted to become. So really that was where my journey started, was a Christmas present to a family gym membership. And once I went in and picked up a barbell and picked up weights and saw that, hey, it actually made a difference, I was hooked. It was hooked after that.
So it's fair to say then that fitness has made a significant difference in your life.
Changed my life 100%.
Can you explain to me then the process from there? You started your fitness, it gave you that confidence, it got you into school. And where did it take you thereafter? Did you stop? Did you continue? Did you take it to higher heights? Well, explain to me the process of your fitness in your life from there forward.
So I don't know if I'm proud or embarrassed to say that 20 years later, and I've never missed more than 7 days without working out. So it became a huge part of my life. And really what happened from that point on, if you go back to 15 years old, is I started to learn some really key principles about personal development. I learned discipline. Like I learned strategy. I learned data. Like it actually translates to business when I think about it. Like I started tracking my workouts. I started tracking what I ate. And honestly, I was kind of like the weird kid, because here I am 16 years old eating chicken and broccoli and brown rice for lunch at the lunch table when everyone else is eating pizza. I actually had in ninth grade, my English teacher, who was a friend of my grandfather's, called my family and he was concerned and wanted me to stop working out because I was so tired in his class because I would work out before school. Yeah. So going back to that discipline, when I was playing sports in school, so the only time I could work out was with my father's friend at 4 a.m. So at 15, 16, 17 years old, I would go to the gym at 4 a.m.
I can imagine being able to get up at 4 a.m. At that young age and get into the gym and hit that workout, then go over to school. I can imagine that created such a great work ethic for you, created such discipline in your life. As you said, that translated over to business. So I can only imagine, the work that you were putting in back then, it was a huge correlation to what you do now.
Yeah, for sure. And really on the confidence side, I think, and I forgot who said this. I know I've heard Alex Hormozi talk about it. But just the idea that like confidence comes from stacking up proof of you are exactly who you are. Yeah. And for me, getting up at 4 a.m. and going to work out while all my other students and like my fellow students are sleeping, that really spoke to me. Like that gave me the confidence that, hey, I'm putting in the work that no one else is putting in. And I got to see it pay off in an athletic setting. I played sports and like I was decent. I wasn't any amazing athlete or anything, but by training and putting in that work, I was able to go from sitting on the bench to a starting position. And then I was able to go to captain of the football team. And then I was able to go to leader of all, of my friends and of our fellow students and all these different things that I never would have been able to achieve if it didn't start with fitness. If I didn't have that original discipline of fitness, I never would have figured out all the other things.
Floyd Mayweather says a great thing. He always says, while you are sleeping, I am working. And being able to be up at that time while you're, your classmates or in this day and age, other business owners are they're sleeping, we have the opportunity to be ahead of the game. We are up working, getting our 10X tasks out of the way, getting them accomplished. Our day is steps ahead by the time the world wakes up. It's such a huge mental factor, especially in the confidence that it produces, to be able to have that level of discipline to get up at that time, do what needs to be done, compared to, all right, you know what, I'm going to lay in bed, it's 8 a.m., all right, it's time to get up and go to school, or it's time to get up and go to work. There's no way you can be a high performer, operating at that standard. I'll do it when I feel like doing it, or I'll do it when I want to do it.
There's no way that's going to happen like that.
Commitment, consistency, and focus to do what needs to be done really makes a huge, huge difference in life, whether that's in fitness, whether that's in business. And as we both know on our ends, fitness, you got to do it. Business, you got to do it.
You talk about getting up early and everything. So I don't necessarily believe that everyone should get up early. Like it's each their own. But one of my buddies had a theory about this because he owns a dealership. Actually, he owns 3 dealerships at this point. So he's done really well for himself in business. He is a guy who likes to grind. And he talks about the fact that by nature of me getting up in before the rest of the world, and I'm putting in work and I'm learning and I'm doing productive things during those hours, that I'm actually older than those who are around me. So think of it this way, like if we've both existed for 35 years, but every single day I am living 4 hours more than you. Like I'm up 4 hours earlier, or I'm staying awake 4 hours later, whichever way you want to look at it. But during that time period, I'm productive. Like I'm learning something, I'm doing something, whatever it is that you want to focus on, you are making yourself better in that time period. Over the course of the year, that's an additional 1,400 hours. If you break that down, that's 60 days, right? So think of it, if you think of that compounding over time. So if I started training at 15 years old and started getting up early and putting in the work early. So here we are 20 years later, and I've put in that work for 20 years now. There's 60 days a year that I have on others. So 20 times 60 was that 1,200 days? 1,200 days divided by 365. We're like 4 years. So even though I'm 35, I'm technically almost 40 in terms of my experience. And when he told that to me, like we say it kind of funny because obviously it doesn't exactly work like that, but it kind of makes you think like it kind of does. Like you're getting that time. Like think about training time under tension, or think about training high level athletics. You know, the time that goes into learning skills and making it just repetition after repetition. Like it adds up. It really, really does.
Yeah, the extra work, the extra drills, the extra hours makes a hell of a difference. All right, I got a question in regards. Let's talk some money. Let's talk some more business, because you also have another super interesting story I want to get into, and that is opening your business in the location that you opened it at. That's a very interesting story, and I want you to give the viewers a bit of that knowledge and how you managed to make that happen.
Yeah. So there's actually two parts of that story. I don't know if you know the first one. So in 2010, I was getting ready to graduate college. And 2011, so 2010, I was getting ready to graduate college for exercise science. And I kind of had like a quarter life crisis of what am I going to do with my life after this? Because at that time, it's crazy because it's only been, a little over a decade. But back then, like owning a gym and like functional training, even like physical therapy the way it is today, it didn't exist like that. So getting a degree in exercise science, I basically had one option, or two options, actually. I could become a personal trainer, or option two, I could go into research. The school that I was at was heavily focused on research, but none of those interests, they didn't interest me. So I started to freak out, like, what am I going to do with my life? And my father was in law enforcement working with the U.S. Marshals. So a school that was literally just down the street from the college I was at in Buffalo, New York. So I was at University at Buffalo, and the school, Buffalo State College, they had a program with the Marshal Service that you would, as long as you graduated with a 3.0 GPA and you applied for this internship, you would essentially get an internship with the U.S. Marshals, and then you would have a job secured with the federal government afterwards. It was the safe bet, you would say. Especially because of my connections, it was pretty well guaranteed I would get that internship. And then eventually, as long as I didn't do anything bad, I would get the job. So I took the safe route. And this is a great message for anyone listening who's thinking about the safe route to take. I took the safe route and I transferred my senior year of college to this new college for the opportunity to join the Marshal Service with this internship. Now, unfortunately, when I got to that school, the president at that time decided to put that whole program on pause, which meant here I am stuck at this new school. I gave up my exercise science degree. So now I was a psychology major, and the whole thing I transferred here for was completely put on hold. So what do? So I waited. I decided I'm going to delay my graduation one semester so I could still get this opportunity. Again, just waiting for the safe thing that's going to get me a career with a pension and all the stuff that people talk about in the United States. So I did that. And that summer, it was my birthday in June. We went on a trip. My girlfriend at the time, we traveled down to Florida, and we're getting ready to graduate after, that summer semester was over. Unfortunately, by then they'd canceled the whole program. So I was going to graduate with a degree in psychology, and we thought, hey, we're going to move south and we're going to become personal trainers down in North Carolina or South Carolina. That was that was our plan. So we went on vacation for my birthday to Florida, and then we're going to drive back and we're going to look at houses when we came back up, and apartments to places to stay. And I found out that weekend of my birthday when we went out to dinner that my girlfriend at the time, her plans had changed, and she didn't want to do that any longer, which basically meant I was going to be out of the picture. So I tend to be a little impulsive. So that evening I packed all my bags, called a cab, went to the airport, and I've never spoken to that individual since that moment. And I left. I flew back to New York. I moved all my stuff back to Utica, New York. And here I was wondering again, what do I do with my life? I had no clue. So I started personal training, started to build up a clientele, and you get to that point where you can either, one, charge more money to people, or two, you can start to hire people under you and start to grow a team and build if you want to actually make more. Because there's only so many hours in a day when it comes to training people one-on-one. Decided like, hey, I'm going to open this gym. Now, the interesting thing about this, and that what Kendall mentioned before, is the place where we're located in Utica was actually voted at this time of me coming back here to open a gym, was voted the top 3, so number 3 worst place by Forbes to open a business. It was actually voted in the top 5 worst places for living, just overall living at that time as well. So probably not the best place to open a gym. Our median household income was 35 grand per year. And yes, that is household income in this area at that time. But I had stumbled upon this warehouse space that a friend of mine, his father had owned, and he was going to rent out. And I was like, this is perfect. It was a warehouse off the beaten path. I had been following Joe DeFranco and Jay Ferrugia and all these different warehouse gym guys over the years. And that was what I wanted, to train athletes. So I was like, hey, we're going to do it. Like we're gonna take the spot. I had a business plan I've been working on, but I had no money. I had nothing. And we decided that we're gonna get the gym. It was me and my new girlfriend, who is now my wife today. We're like, hey, we're gonna get this gym. We're gonna do this. And in 7 days, I found 50 grand from 5 different people in my network, from friends, family, or even clients, honestly, that lent me 50 grand. And we took one last vacation. My girlfriend and I, we went on a cruise, and we came back, and then we spent 3 months and built our whole gym out. And we opened in May 2014. So it was a roller coaster to get to that point of opening. It was a roller coaster probably in the beginning as well. But yeah, that's how we got started in business. And we opened a gym in the place that Forbes said is the number 3 worst place to open a gym.
Wow.
And then I guess the silver lining in that is we were able to grow that gym to be profitable, like multiple 6-figure profits every single year within the first 3 years. And we've been able to keep that status and grow it since then. And it was best decision I ever made. And it just proof that the safe route is not always the best route.
Definitely. And yeah, that's honestly, every time I hear that story from, that's such an amazing story, right? A lot of shockers in there. But, one thing that I was able to take away from there is, do not take the safe route. Another thing is you were able to make it happen. Gather up those funds and say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to attack. This is what I want to go after. I'm going to make this happen. And again, here we are today. How many years has crossed since that grand opening?
So we opened May 2014. So it will be our 9th year anniversary coming up.
And that all just started from saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to attack this head on. I'm going to find this funds, and I'm going to make this thing happen. So just going after what you want.
And the other thing too about that, so I had actually built a business plan, and I had started so we talk about work ethic, right? So I was training people prior to opening. I was training people from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. because I just take any appointment I could get. Yeah. And in between those hours, I was working on my business plan, and I actually had planned to open my training facility above the gym. They had another floor, and there was this space that was open that we could rent. It was an old batting cage, and it was rough, but I had built out this business plan around doing that. So I was working in the evening hours, constructing my ideas of how I was going to open the gym. And then we happened to just stumble upon this other space that was perfect. And I think another key thing to take away from that is speed. So the way that I found this place was that I was going with someone to show the space to another business who was thinking of renting it. Yeah. And when I saw it, that other individual didn't bite on it right away. They were thinking about it. I jumped in and said, I want it.
Speed is
and at that time, did I have any idea how we're going to do it? Nope. Did I have any idea how I was going to pay for it? Nope. But I knew that this was the space. And I don't know if you ever get that feeling, Kendall, when it comes to houses, like spaces, like business spaces, like I get a feeling like I know when it's right.
Yeah.
Like when you walk in, you just know that this is it. You know? So
for sure, 100%. Where I'm right now is right in the center of town, right?
Yep.
Part of the island here. And I always said I would never open a business in town because there's no parking. There's no nothing out here. I mean, a bunch of businesses, but the parking, everything's horrible. Yep. I found a space right here in town, and same thing. As I walked and saw it, I said, this is it. This is it. Now here we are 5 years later.
Yeah. So we made the jump on that. And honestly, like for anyone listening to this who's thinking of starting any sort of endeavor, whether it's business or personal, and you're worried about the money, it's the easiest piece. Honestly, it was, I can't even tell you how easy it was to get 50 grand. Like I just found 10, like I just asked 10 people. hey, here's my business plan of what I want to create here. Like, are you willing to support me in doing this? And I'm going to pay you back, and I'm willing to pay you back plus interest if that was the case as well.
You
People
can,
believe in you, they will support you.
yeah, and you can turn that up as your 5-figure network.
Yes. Yeah. You know, the 5-figure network. And that's why we talk about that. The 5-figure network, that I do believe every individual has 5 figures in their network if they just go ask.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. So you said it best yourself, money is easy to get a hold of, and we all have a 5-figure network once we go and make sure that we ask. The only thing you can get out of asking is a yes or a no. So just go ahead and ask and make it happen on whatever you want to go after. And Ryan, I do have another question for you here, right? I do want to know, describe to me the highlights of your time in business opening that gym. What has been the highlight over your business career, your gym career?
It's tough, honestly, to say all the highlights, because so I have a weird thing with my phone where I don't like to delete any picture. So every time a new phone comes out, I gotta buy the biggest capacity because I don't delete any photos. So I have every photo I've ever taken on my phone dating back to 2010 or 11. Every once in a while, my wife and I will sit down and we scroll through our phone to look at all the photos over the years of the gym. And I'd say it's probably some of the biggest highlights that we had is, when I opened the gym, my intention was to create an athlete training program. Yeah. And the majority of people around us, and even some of the businesses, when I started doing like radio advertisements, they're like, hey, like, it's been tried before. Like, it doesn't work here. Like, no one does that here. It's not a thing. And one of the first big highlights was building our athlete program to where it was. We would have 100+ kids every summer training in the gym with us. In 2018 and 19, before we stopped our athlete program in 2020 because of lockdown stuff. But prior to that, our athlete program, we were filling every single block. And we'd have training blocks throughout the year, and we filled everyone. So that was a big highlight for me. It was just proving that we could do that. And then coincidentally, 8 other training places opened after us with athletes. So it's just kind of funny that no one was doing it, and then all of a sudden everyone's doing it. So
set the trend, brother. Set the trend.
Yeah, like that was a huge highlight for me. Another big highlight is really just all of the transformations we've had. That was something that I think is really important to talk about with business. Is just when I first started opening the gym, and I think anytime you open a business, you can open with a mission or a vision of what you want, but sometimes you get pushed in certain directions, So like I wanted athletes, I wanted hardcore training. Like I love training. Like that's just what I like to do. Our clientele is not, in the way that we train, isn't necessarily how I train. But it's what creates the best result and most impact for the clients we work with. And it took me a long time to understand that. I'm not going to lie. Like there was a period where I was resentful of the business because I thought that I wanted something else. And I think one of the biggest highlights is sticking to the path that was given to us of a transformation facility, because the changes we've made in people, like it's so crazy. And I think that's probably the biggest highlight. Like I'm talking like people who thought they were going to pass away and they're still here today. People who thought that they could never, go and apply for a certain career, and now they're doing it. Like people who were told they could never do whatever that is that someone said they couldn't do, and now they're doing beyond that. They're getting promoted. They're taking their program that we do here and they're doing it with their family. Like that's the really cool stuff, I think, is to see that. And over the years, we're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's really, really amazing to have that. And then I'd say the last one is just the team. Like just having a team and watching them grow. And that's really what I get joy in now, is not so much anything that I'm personally doing with the business, but getting to watch our team build stuff, getting to watch them like make huge wins and major accomplishments. I think that's really, really awesome to be a part of and get to help lead them there.
I think that's one of the amazing things about fitness and business, right? You get to see the growth of people. You get to see those transformations, yes, and you get to see the team also develop, level up, become better leaders, become better humans, and grow in their endeavors. There is such a rewarding feeling in that. And, that's part of the reason why we do what we do. It's such a great feeling to see that, right?
Yeah.
Right to the clients, right to the staff, right to the team, everyone around you. And that's always great when we can continue to produce that.
Yeah. And I think that's what really led me into the business coaching, honestly, is I looked at fitness of like, hey, with our transformation programs and everything we've built, like look at, like we're changing an individual's life. and maybe we're changing their spouse's wife or maybe their kids, and we're helping them out in that way. And then when I thought about business, it's like, if I can teach the business owner the skill sets and the things that they need in order to grow their business to a place that creates a future for their family, now I'm changing the whole generation. Now, like, I'm changing future generations. You know, you talk about working with people who they're the first person to be able to have savings. Like, they're the first person who's going to have a child that went to college, or they went to college. And now I'm able to help them facilitate that for their whole family generations down the line. Like, that's what really drew me into the business coaching, is that I'm creating an impact that's exponentially greater than just fitness.
And I can speak firsthand for you because you've been a big part of my life in business, especially when it comes to Performance Lab and even Nutrition Lab. You know, the growth from the mindset alone has been ridiculous. You know, I went from, you know, certain goals that I thought was huge, and now I'm just like crushing out like every day, you know, hey, just another day in the office. And now we're setting ridiculous goals. We're setting goals that, hey, you know, now it's time to level up again. You know, business has definitely developed, mindset has definitely developed, and, you know, I can speak that firsthand directly to you and from you. You played a major role in my life. So that's greatly appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome, man. And just thank you for, like, honestly, thank you for taking all the action, because that's what it is. Like, it's one thing to be able to tell someone, you know, what to do or show them some strategies or coach them, but it's when they put it into play that something actually occurs. And that's why I love working with you, is because you just do shit. Like, you just go and put it into play. And for me, the biggest reward, like, it's awesome to, like, I love watching your business stuff grow. Like, I love all of that. But the biggest reward, I love seeing that you have time now to spend with the kids. Like, I love seeing that you can go, like, you just took them to Disney. Like, I think that's awesome, you know, or that you're able to now help other men and you're sharing your story, and you're, again, you're creating an impact that is so much bigger than anything that we thought was possible in the beginning. So for me, that's what's beautiful to watch, man, is to see that level of growth out of you.
Yeah, agreed. Now we're setting outrageous goals now. And again, as you said, one thing that I see a lot around the world, you know, a lot of people open businesses and they become slaves to their business. Now they're stuck in a business, constantly working, can't get a break, can't get a vacation, fully stressed out. But again, as you just said just now, you helped me so much that I was able to produce freedom in my life. My business is able to run itself. I'm in business and I'm able to take care and manage and lead the team and grow the business, but I'm also able to have freedom in my life. Go and take to Disney, go on vacations. Now I've also leveled up and grown so much that I'm able to lead others. You know, I have my men's group. I'm leveling those guys up mentally, physically, professionally. And just as we're talking about Micro Gym Mafia, we have a speaking gig in Miami. What's that, in June?
June 2nd and 3rd. I just booked the place too. I got to send you the details.
Perfect. So that's my first official speaking gig. So looking forward to that. You know, and that all comes through, again, as I said, just executing on the things that were put there in front of me. And for anyone that's listening, I always want to say, when you have a great coach, when you have a great mentor, they put you in a place and position that you can time collapse and accomplish so much in a shorter period of time. But it all boils back to listening and then executing on what needs to be done. Because you can listen all day, but if you don't execute, you're going to stay in the same space and same place. And that makes no sense at all. So it's all about execution, getting the job done.
And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with now, just because there are so many things on the internet. Like, you can learn anything. Like, and that's one of my pet peeves of people. If don't ask me a question, you can Google.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can learn anything. But at the same time, it's really hard to know exactly what to do or stay focused, because there are so many options and there's so many extra things you can go look at and go see. And that's why, like Kendall said, it's so important just to find either that coach, that mentor, whoever it is you're looking up to, and follow that path. And if it, like, make sure the path obviously aligns with you, and then you follow it. But don't go get distracted looking at 20 other things and saying, oh, where do I go? No, just go down the path that you're supposed to go down.
And Ryan, for the Micro Gym Mafia Miami gig, can you give the viewers a bit of what that's going to be about? Can you give us a little explanation of what to expect of that?
The Micro Gym Mafia, the Miami Intensive, it's going to be a 2-day event where we're talking everything about business, leadership, how do we increase our sales systems, marketing systems, all of that. We got a little man. I say little. We have a mansion in Florida that down in Miami that we're gonna be staying at. And no, it's not little. And it's gonna be an awesome time of hanging out. Basically, we mastermind and do work all day. And then in the evening, we have nice dinner. We relax, network, socialize, talk about everything, and just have a good time and talk about how we build our business.
And that's what it's about, being able to place yourself in those environments where you're going to grow, where you're going to learn, and you get that opportunity to mastermind. Hey, that is such a great place to progress your life with, right? Progress your business with, because we want to continue to grow. The more we can grow, the more we can become better. Everything around us becomes better.
Yep.
Right. So always getting in those environments is such a major thing. So thank you for also putting that on, because I know a ton of us around the world are going to enjoy that. And I'm also very happy to be up on stage in my first speaking gig. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Miami time. And you spoke on something earlier in regards to growing the business. You do an amazing job with wowing your clients. You just put on an event recently, and I would like to dig into a bit of that with you and some of the things that you do to wow your clients, because again, I said, you put on mind-blowing events. So you can even give us your last one that you just did, because that was awesome. I won't speak too much on that. I'll let you do all the talking.
So one of my favorite books is called The Go-Giver. And the idea of the Go-Giver is, I'm not going to get all the different laws of being a go-giver, but essentially, the more value that you provide to the world, the more value you're going to receive. And if you can understand that principle, and it's a universal law. If you put better stuff out there, you're going to get better stuff back. If you give more, you will receive more. And after practicing that now for literally a decade, I can tell you with 100% certainty it is true. So for our clientele in the business, we try to go above and beyond anyone else in terms of what we're going to deliver with value. So just recently in January, we did our winter gala. So every year we do a winter party. We do an award show for all of our members. And this year we decided to take it up a little bit. So we actually rented out a theater in the downtown area where we are. We had a magician come in who was on America's Got Talent. If you like magic, his name is Leon Etienne. He was on America's Got Talent. He's been on Penn and Teller Fool Us. So like world famous magician to come in and perform. We had a local musician come in and perform as well. And then we had, dinner catered, we had drinks, we had all the amazing stuff. And it was just an awesome night where we just love on our clients. We just love on them. It's all about them, so that's one thing that we do, every single year for them. But along the way, we have so many different pieces, whether it's swag bags when they sign up, whether it's all the guides we give them and tools so that way they can overcome any challenge they deal with on a day-to-day basis, the milestone rewards every time they hit a weight loss milestone, our Member of the Month awards that we get personalized items. So years ago, I'll tell this story because I think it's just funny that, you talk about like how your mindset changes of what's possible. So years ago, when I was in a different mastermind, one of my good friends, Luca Hosevar, was telling me that they were thinking of hiring someone for the gym who was just going to research clients online. They're going to research clients on Facebook, and they were going to buy gifts based on what the client's interests were so they could be even more personalized.
I've heard you speak about that also. Yeah.
So when he told me about this, I was thinking in my head, like, that's crazy. Like, no one's going to do that. Who's doing that? Well, 4 years later, we're doing it. That's what we do. That's one of the things that we do for our members of the month. We research our people online. We figure out what their interests are. So we've given customized guitar picks, golf tees, kitchen aprons, gym bags, hunting apparel, like you name it. Like we find something, we customize it that is very specific to the individual. So those are just a few of the ways that we like to love on our clients, and there's all sorts of different things that we do alongside of that, but those are some of the big ones.
And that really puts you a cut above the rest, because when a client gets that feeling, gets that attention, gets that love, they remember that, right? A lot of times it's not just about, hey, how tough my workout class was, is what feeling did I experience going to that gym? What feeling am I leaving with? Clients remember the feeling that you give them compared to how much sweat I produced in the workout or how tough the workout was. That feeling that you give is memorable. And so again, you do a great job at that. And that's really what sets you apart. You know?
Yeah, our goal is to create, if you think of something you've had in your life recently, or a place that you went to, and you come back and you go up to all your friends and you say, like, hey, you got to see this place. Like, you got to see what they did. Like, if you can create that moment, that is a game changer for your business. So that's kind of the lens that we look through, is like when we put on that gala event, the thought that I had in my head is, I want someone who's driving down the downtown street that night to look at what's going on there and be like taking pictures. Who is this? What are these people doing? Why are they all dressed up? Because we did a red carpet as well. So we had the red carpet out there and everything. Like what is going on? I want to know what this is all about. I want people who went to the event to go home. Like, you're never going to believe what the gym did. Like a gym did this? Like what type of gym does that stuff? Like, that's what's going to get you remembered, is when you create moments like that. So it's a great lens to think about when you're doing things, of like, how can I get them to want to go home and say, like, dude, you got to see what just happened over here.
Yeah, exactly right. Memorable moments makes a huge, huge difference. Now, Ryan, sitting right behind there, I see a bunch of books on your bookshelf there. So for everyone that is listening, I want to ask, what book do you recommend reading? What book has played a major role in your life, and what book do you recommend to others?
Yeah, the number one book I would recommend, and probably the most impactful book in my life, is called A Man Thinketh. As a Man Thinketh.
Yeah, let me read that one. It's a good book. Great book.
I treat that book like a Bible, meaning that you can read it, like I can read it every day, and you can find a new lesson in it every day. You can read like little passages from it. But it was really before its time when it was written, because it was written over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of the book is understanding that as a man thinketh, so he will become. And if you can just remember those words, like, your thoughts determine your actions determine your habits, and your habits determine your results. Yeah. So if you go back to the root and you change this thing up here, that's how you change everything downstream. I'm talking about every little thing. And I'll never forget when I first read this book. I was still in college, actually. So I was getting ready to graduate college, and I lived in the inner city in Buffalo. And let's just say you have some unfavorable people in the inner city that are not nice, and they do crazy things, and they're obnoxious. An easy concept where you can think about the power of thought in this book is, so I was driving home and I'm at a stop sign, there's a crosswalk, and if there's a homeless individual who walks across and they were just being obnoxious, they weren't letting anyone go, they were holding everything up. And internally, most people are saying something negative. And at that moment, I was like, this fucking idiot, this asshole, like, I can't stand this individual, whatever you're going to run in your head. That thought affects every thought after that the whole day. And so when you talk about the level of thought you want to change, it's those things. It's not just what you think about yourself, but it's all the little tiny things that you don't catch yourself saying to yourself that are negative about other things. And that moment, I remember in that moment sitting there and catching myself and saying, no, I don't think like that. That's just a great example of, like, you don't realize how that thought affects you, but it does. And if you can start to get rid of those, they just like a garden, like, get rid of all the weeds, like, fertilize your brain with really great thoughts, positive thoughts about yourself, positive thoughts about what you're doing, like, very intentional in how you're thinking. It changes everything.
And two great sayings I'll put together for that. I normally say the universe brings you your conversation. And I'm sure you heard this one before. You frequently see your frequency. So if you're operating from a negative mindset, trust and believe you are going to see that around you. That is going to be everywhere. You're going to have that energy that's around you. But yeah, as you said earlier, you got to be thinking good thoughts. You got to be thinking positivity. You got to be thinking in abundance, because that is what is going to be produced around you. One
of the things I tell clients all the time is, hey, if you go looking for problems, guess what you're going to find? Fucking problems.
Yeah.
That's what, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're going to find. So if you're always looking for the problem, you will most likely find problems all the time. And they're going to be big, they're going to be small, but you're going to be covered in them because that's all you're thinking about.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You're frequent to see your frequency. Damn right. All right. Is there any rituals or daily disciplines that you have for taking you through your day and allowing you to operate to dominate? Because I'm a huge believer in, upstairs, the mindset. So I want to know, on your end, you're a high performer. Is there any disciplines, non-negotiables that you implement in your life that allows you to perform up here as you do?
So big one is some sort of exercise daily. Like I got to move daily, get my body moving. And that's also a shift. If you're ever in a negative state, you need to shift your state. Like Tony Robbins talks about this. A shift in your state can be anything that literally just changes the state of your physical nature, because it will change your mental nature as a result. So that's where the movement aspect comes in. If you're in a bad mood, go work out. You will feel better automatically. So for me, like that's a big one is there's got to be exercise daily. And then generally two other ones that I have are read and write. I need to read something because that turns my brain on. And then I write something because that allows me to talk to myself. Like, so those are my three big ones. Is going to be reading, writing, and some level of journaling with that writing. And then movement is another big one. Over the years, they've fluctuated. I've had, I go through spurts of deep meditation. I don't meditate every single day, but I do meditate when I need it. So that's another big part of it. But there were periods where every single day I was meditating daily, journaling, reading, all that stuff back to back in the morning. It just depends on the time of, season of life that I'm in.
Yeah. And I do agree with that. I mean, because that has played such a major role in my life also. And same thing, I'm not always on with the meditation, but it really depends on what season of life I am in that I do implement that. But for sure, reading every single day is a must for me. Right? Because again, I'm absorbing that knowledge. I'm taking that in, that journal, and I'm getting all the stresses down. I'm getting the to-dos down. I'm getting 10 X's down. That journal produces so much, of course. And as you said, movement is a must. We got to do that. I believe as humans, we have the ability and we should move every single day, minimum 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're built for. We're not built to sit around.
I agree. That's when we start to sit around, the belly starts to go from here to here. We start to get unhappy, and that produces just so much more problems. So it's great to hear that your daily disciplines, movement, reading, journaling, adding that bit of meditation if you desire to.
Yeah. If you think of a easy one, like 75 hard. When I did 75 hard, it wasn't that different for me, except for the two workouts and the water. I don't, as a fitness professional, I am a horrible water drinker. I don't like drinking water. I don't know what it is. It just makes my stomach feel off. So, but other than that, 75 hard is basically the daily ritual. Just with not two workouts and not having the water, but the reading, movement, all that stuff every day, appreciation. Those things are big as well.
For sure. Ryan, thank you, brother. I really appreciate having you.
My pleasure.
In the Lab podcast. Again, as I started this off by saying, you always provide so much value, and I know the listeners have gained so much value from this. So, brother, thank you for being on with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thank you, Kendall, for having me. Appreciate it. And anyone listening, keep watching Kendall's videos. He's got some great knowledge that he's delivering, especially all about the high performer mentality. He is a high performer, so make sure to tune into all of his episodes and learn how you can become a high performer as well.
Thank you, brother. I got one more thing. Where can everyone find you?
Best place to find me, social media, just at Ryan Obnesser. That's my personal one. Or if you look up the Micro Gym Mafia, you can find the business page. But you can find me there on Instagram, on Facebook, or on YouTube, and just drop a comment or a message. Love to connect and help you out in any way that I can.
That's right. You want to grow your business, Ryan is the man for it. Brother, thank you. Much appreciated. And you have a great day. Much blessings, much love, brother.
All right, guys. I'll see you.